Hi, I'm Jenna Sherlock. I'm the marketing executive for OSSM, and I'm joined here by my two colleagues, Brian Doherty, operations director, and Naren Sompalli, our solutions consultant. We're here today to chat about SuiteAnalytics, which was introduced into NetSuite a few years ago now at this stage. So, Brian, in the very simplest of terms, can you tell us what SuiteAnalytics is all about?
Well, Jenna, it's really just another great way of analyzing your data from within NetSuite. So it allows you to take data and slice it and dice it in different ways. We already spoke on previous in a previous blog on a previous video about using save searches and the report writer, the standard tools within NetSuite. This is expanding on that, and it's just, yeah, again, it's far more flexible, far more dynamic, far more options available, and again, the ability to present your data afterwards has been optimized as well would be optimized by using SuiteAnalytics.
And so this sounds a bit similar to a pivot table. Is it different?
It's actually very similar to pivot table, which is one of the beauties of it, because a lot of NetSuite users would be very familiar with using pivot tables in their everyday work. So you're taking information into one position, you're dragging and dropping the information. The NetSuite SuiteAnalytics works in a very similar way. You're dragging and dropping the rows and the content and the columns, and you start off with a set of data, and you create that set of data. You put in all the possible ways of analyzing your data into that set of data, and then you drag and drop into your pivot report, and then you present that information back out to the users. So yeah, the big difference is that all the information is already within NetSuite. So you're not dragging information out of NetSuite. You're using the data that is already within NetSuite. So for example, if you want to analyze your sales invoices, so typically on a sales invoice, you're going to have the invoice date, you're going to have the customer, you're going to have the items that you're selling, you're going to probably have a sales rep and all the related dates. So you're taking that one piece of information, which is the sales invoice, and then you use the multiple tags that are on that sales invoice to analyze your data. So you might look at the value of sales invoices per month by sales rep, or what you've sold of what you've invoiced of a particular stock item or group of stock items. So you can incorporate the class, the department, the location the products were sold out of, and yeah, or maybe use your customer categories to categorize your sales by customer category. So you're taking all the information that's already in there, and you're just slicing and dicing and dragging and dropping information into reports, into a pivot table, and also you can then to create the data that you want to see.
Okay, and so other than the pivot table type functionality, would there be any other ways to use SuiteAnalytics?
Yeah, well, you can use your data set that I spoke of, that's your original data, to create pivot tables, which we spoke about, but you also can create charts and graphs also. So you could create a pie chart or all other types of charts, and you can then present that information onto your dashboards. So you can create analytics portlets on a dashboard. What is nice about it as well is that you can present you can create the dashboards for maybe a particular group of individuals, and then you can publish those dashboards to those individuals. But yeah, you can present the information. You could have maybe an administrator type that looks after the creation of the SuiteAnalytics workbooks and data sets, and then you present that information then to multiple other users.
All right. So would there be certain type of reports that would be better suited to SuiteAnalytics versus, for example, a saved search or maybe using the report writer?
Probably as a rule of thumb, what I'd say is you'd use SuiteAnalytics more for transactional type reports. So as I mentioned previously, for analyzing and slicing and dicing data in relation to transactions like sales transactions, orders, purchase orders, and what it isn't particularly useful for, or not as of yet, is for financial type reports. So your financial statements, trial balances, balance sheets, profit and losses. I'd stick to the standard report designer for those type of reports.
Okay.
And just to add to what Brian is saying, I think there are a few reasons for analytics being a better alternative to saved searches. And for example, with saved searches, you can only go one level up or down, which really restricts the amount of data that you're pulling into your data set. But with analytics, you have the option to go multiple levels up or down when you're trying to access data, which gives you the option to pull data, a wide range of data that you can report on. And just in terms of using analytics, it's far easier and it's much more user-friendly. As Brian was mentioning earlier, it's just a matter of dragging and dropping the fields that you want to report on. And you don't really need as much of a technical background to use analytics. And what I particularly like about analytics reporting is you could set up a single data set from which you could create loads of reports. Like you could have like dozens of charts or pivot tables originating from a single data set. And just by updating your data set with any criteria, you're effectively refreshing the way this data is presented onto your charts and pivot tables. So yeah, analytics is just a great alternative to saved searches with its.
Yeah, and I suppose the other one as well is you have that one particular data set, and if you're an organization that has multiple subsidiaries, so you have a group and subsidiaries and different groups maybe within a parent company, you can set up the one data set that includes all the data for all the subsidiaries, and then you're presenting that in particular portlets or portlets on your home screen, and then you can use the subsidiary navigator to slice and dice the information by subsidiary from within the portlet. So the users don't have to worry about splitting the information. All they have to do is use the subsidiary navigator, click on a particular subsidiary, and all the information on your home screen will change just to be for that one subsidiary. So it's quite powerful for single subsidiary entities or for people or users that are using one world and have a group and multiple subsidiaries. So it's very powerful in all respects and for all types of user.
All right. Well, you guys sound like SuiteAnalytics gurus. Naren, do you think there's any chance you might be able to give us a short demo so we can see SuiteAnalytics in action?
Sure, yeah. Let me just share my screen. So here I have just a list of all data sets, and there are a few data sets available out of the box from NetSuite. And here's one that I've set up previously, which is a data set of open opportunities. And if I want to add any data, if I want to add any fields into the data set, it's as simple as just dragging and dropping the field, and the data is refreshed. And it's the same with adding filters. So at the moment, I've filtered my data set with, it's a transaction type data set that I've filtered by type as opportunity and opportunities that are in progress. But let's say I want to filter it by a certain end date. So let's say the end date is before the end of June, and then filters out my data set and says that there's nothing in this date range. So if I remove the filter, and let's say I want to create a workbook. I've now saved the data set. I can create a workbook, which is a pivot table based on the data that we have running in the background. So if I want to see the open opportunities by sales rep, I have my sales rep in the rows. I have the probability percentage as the columns, and I have the total amount as the measure. And there you go. That's the pivot table that you can then decide to display the grand totals for, either by sales rep or by probability. So that's the power of analytics in a nutshell. Just within a few minutes, you have a report that you created by just dragging and dropping fields, and you have all the information that you need.
That's great. It's something really that looks like even somebody as non-technical as me would be able to use. But that's what I like about it.
That's the other nice thing about it, is that you're not creating, when you're using SuiteAnalytics, you're not affecting existing transactions. You're just analyzing existing transactions, so you can't break anything. So the whole idea is just to get stuck in, drag and drop, and have a go and see how you get on. With very little training, you can create quite powerful reports, graphs, charts, whatever. So it is very powerful that way.
And what about getting set up with SuiteAnalytics? Is it simple enough to get set up?
So Jenna, as I mentioned earlier, NetSuite comes with a set of SuiteAnalytics data sets and workbooks out of the box that you can work with. However, I would recommend getting some training just to fully explore the capability and power of analytics, or we could design some reports for you so you can get started. And really, in my opinion, it's a great tool, and the power of it should really be in your own hands. So yeah, I would recommend anyone who's watching this video to really get into it.
Have a go.
And just get stuck in. I think I'm going to take that advice. I might just go and get stuck in and see if there's any reports I can create for myself. So thank you to everybody for watching, and we really hope you got something useful from this video. If you would like to arrange a training session on SuiteAnalytics, you just have to get in touch with our team on sales@awesomecloud.ie. And as mentioned earlier, please don't forget to subscribe to our blog on awesomecloud.ie.